Yeah, and we are live. So, hey everyone, thanks for joining us this evening. Tonight, we'll be unpacking ideas around chain abstraction, user experience, SDKs, and what all this really means for developers and the end users alike. And I'm super excited to be joined by two amazing guests tonight. Michael, who is the CEO of EtherSpot, and Minal, who leads ecosystem and growth for Octo. So, guys, before we jump into the questions, I'd love to have you both quickly introduce yourselves and what are you working on.
I'll defer to Minal first, and I'll go after.
Yes, please. Sure. So I've been super active in the crypto space for good 7, 8 years in the space. Have seen it in the most raw form, when there was just Bitcoin to where today we are. Have built multiple consumer products and uh, have sort of driven the growth for our centralized exchange CoinDCX. Octo is also a part of the CoinDCX group, where we started with a simple motive to build, Web2 like one-click consumer experiences in DeFi as well, which started with as a wallet, just a retail wallet. But we realized, to build one-click experiences in wallet is a mind-boggling task, right? I mean, it required us almost 12 to 15 months, 25 to 30 developers working on different layers of the stack, be it blockchains, be it multiple liquidity aggregators, multiple bridges, solver networks, and so on and so forth. And hence, we decided to also convert the entire stack we had built for Octo into a developer kit called the Octo SDK, which now powers 50 plus applications, 15 million plus wallets, and about a couple of $1 billion of volume flowing through the platform every month. I personally look at uh, working closely with the builders and simplifying their Web3 journey, and also build UX or build Web3 applications which are very simple to use and can potentially drive mass adoption. Over to you, Michael.
Amazing.
Awesome. My name is Michael Messele. I have been actively building in the crypto space since 2016. Prior to that, I used to work in finance technology in the City of London with investment banks and so forth. And around 2017, I was involved in, not late 2016, then 2017, I was involved in an ICO. If some of you guys remember the ICO craze, and I was part of the Pillar team that raised the Pillar ICO, where we launched. The whole ideals was to launch a personal data locker where we can leverage the blockchain, and all of us, the data we generate on the internet can be locked in and secured by our private keys, and we can monetize it and so forth. We still haven't got to that stage yet. We're still in progress, building blocks one by one. And Ethersport was born somewhere along those lines, where we wanted to see the UI UX improvement in the wallet space, which we felt even as early as 2018, where we felt, yes, we have the Pillar wallet, but would my grandmother be able to use it? No, she won't be. Then we thought, okay, smart contract based wallets, smart accounts are a progress in that direction. And that's where we started having a smart account feature built into the Pillar wallet. And this smart account feature built in then became an SDK. Then it got a name called EtherSpot. Then it became a company on its own. So I have been actively building in terms of the consumer, then the B2B side, in terms of offering a far improved UX, UI for the Web3 space. If all the time I say to people, we are competing with contactless cards when it comes to me going to the shop and just swiping my card away. Unless we make Web3 compatible onto that level with the usability, we're still losing out for mass adoption to the end user. So
All right, amazing. Thank you so much, guys. So, jumping right in, people often mix up account abstraction and chain abstraction. How would you two define these two things, and in what ways do they actually complement each other? Michael, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I can, I suppose. I mean, we do provide an account abstraction solution as well as chain abstraction solution. So account abstraction is basically is in terms of our accounts. So think of doing a certain action in Web3. If you have an ERC20 token, you have to authorize it. Then after authorizing it, if it is a swap that you want, you have to swap it. Then once you've swapped it, if you stake it, all these things involve you doing signatures, a friction point for the average person. I have to sign again. I just wanted to buy this thing. Why do I have to sign 3 times? So why do I have to sign 4 times? And the more you do it, and if you're playing a game and you are asked to do such a thing, it is such an inconvenience. So what account abstraction does is abstract away these complexities like signatures multiple times. Why can't I just sign for the first one and all the other signatures without that are within the same batch, the same signature can be applied for me? Then why do I need to bother about the gas? So does it mean every time I have to do some interaction on another chain, I have to have a native token? What do you mean I have to have? Oh, I'm on Polygon, so I have to get a Poly token. I have Matic, will it work? What if I'm on Ethereum? Oh, is it ETH? Oh, I'm on Solana. Is it? When I use my credit card, there's a credit card surcharge. But none of the merchants ask me, Michael, oh, by the way, you've just bought yourself a can of beer. Can you just make sure you pay the merchant the shop's surcharge for, because they need to process it. Oh, by the way, this specific shop is called Wi-Fi shop, and you have to have the Wi-Fi account. I sound called for. Again, abstraction of this sort of thing. What else? Recovery of accounts. The small print on Web3 says to you, you are on your own if you lose your assets. And how many stories have we heard? Especially these stories come in the bull cycles. XYZ lost X amount of million on their hard drive. If only I could either add some rescue mechanism to my assets. Maybe it could be other machines, it could be a friend, but somehow I could have multiple entry points. And if I lose access through, say, if I lose my phone, I can recover it through my laptop. Account recovery option it gives you. And account abstraction does all this sponsorship of gas, meaning a third party can pay for the gas. On my point, say I go to a specific tap and I pay them $5 a month for the service I get. What if they allow me 10 transactions per month for free with that subscription, where as a user, I don't even know if I'm paying gas? That is making it similar to Web2. So I just gave you a few examples on trying to explain what account abstraction entails, and it does have a little bit more than this. Chain abstraction then is if I'm doing something that goes over one chain to another chain, and there are thousands of chains nowadays, roll-ups, and do I really have to know all about them? Oh, I have to know about which bridging service provides, and I have to know which token to bridge across. Dude, I'm not coming to use your service if you're saying that to me. So abstract it away. The banking infrastructure, when you think about it, when I use a contactless card, there is a Wi-Fi. Then Wi-Fi is red. You speak. You go to. You goes to the about 7-8 layers of banking services, authorizer, the merchant bank, and all those, but they are abstracted away from me. Hence, chain abstraction in a nutshell would abstract all these things, whereby if I have 200 USDC on a specific chain, oh, for that matter, over 3 chains, I have 200 USDC. You don't need to bug me which chain, what amount. You figure it out. I'll give you the authorization. You purchase whatever I want to purchase. In a nutshell, just worked examples.
Yeah, super, man. And I think you more or less sort of covered the broad spectrum of it. And the way I sort of think about it, that account abstraction just simplifies how users interact with a particular blockchain by making it, by making smart contracts programmable, by abstracting gas, by bundling transactions, providing social recovery, and so on and so forth. Um, but on the other side, the chain abstraction layer sort of takes it further, right, where it hides the complexity of interacting with multiple blockchains for both users and developers, and it makes the multi-chain sort of ecosystem feel like a unified experience, right? So you have account abstraction solving for experience on a chain, and then you have chain abstraction, which is trying to unify all different blockchains and ecosystem, and they complement each other, in sort of like a T-shaped manner, to ultimately provide one-click, seamless, without any Web3 layer on or close to the face of the user, and all these, where am I holding my money, where am I transacting, am I sort of holding the native gas token, all of that is abstracted away. So this account abstraction simplifies interacting with the blockchain, and chain abstraction simplifies cross-chain interactions, ultimately unifying blockchain experiences for the end user and of course or for the developer also.
Super
Agreed.
interesting. Yeah. So, to set the tone for what each of you is building, what's your favorite feature or something that's coming up in your current stack? And why does it matter to the ecosystem according to you right now?
Yeah, I mean, when you build stacks like chain abstraction, uh, there is a lot that you have to figure out, and it becomes very difficult to sort of pick up one. But I would always think of it, very fundamentally. The way we started about building Octo, the vision was to make um, Web3 transactions single click and completely seamless. Right now, you do it through the wallet, you do it through the SDK, and enable more developers and the end users. It's more or less it's the same vision but a different path. And to that, we have recently released something called the Delegated Transaction Network, or DTN, which basically allows users to say what they want to do instead of doing every step of it. And Octo figures out how to execute it across chains, right? So if you have, let's say, XYZ meme token that you want to buy on Solana or on Polygon with some stable asset or even any asset on Base, we make it one single click, right? So instead of now figuring out what is the way to this transaction and sign transaction, the user says that this is the outcome I want, and that's what good UX looks like for us, right? So we essentially bundle these single step, right? Like for a cross-chain transaction, there are 6 to 7 steps happening on the backend, be it loading of the native gas token, swap on that token, then bridging it from chain A to chain B, completing the swap on chain B. We bundle all of these swaps, bridges, mints, approvals into one single outcome-driven request, and we essentially make all Web3 interactions simple, right? Like one click, Web2 like, CFI like, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's one of the features we are super proud of.
Michael, would you like to add something to it?
Obviously, Octo keep on copying what we do. I'm just kidding. Because one of the cool products.
Would be a very exciting debate, Michael, which we should take separately.
Because one of the cool products that we're building at the moment and it's about to be released is a collaboration with the Pillar Wallet. It is sport taking advantage of Pillar Wallet user base. And Pillar Wallet, as I've said to you before, it is a EOA wallet, and it has a smart contract, smart app as well. Now they are making it a web-based app as well. So in this web-based wallet / app, what we are doing is effectively exactly what you said, Minal. As a user, I want to pin into a certain token, say, have assets on Arbitrum, and I see some new token launched on Mantle or base, I don't need to be bridging this. I really don't need to know about your bridging. I'm not interested. I just see a new token going up. I just want to, and it's been launched an hour ago and it is performing well. And I can see the amount of volume, the liquidity pool. You know what? I want to put in $50 on this token and I want to be able to sell it out later on. So all I do is just one click. Now, the account abstraction and the chain abstraction element of Pulse, which is Ethersport, enables this consumer app to be able to deliver this timely token launch and timely things you want to app into across chain. Now, before we started doing chain abstraction, about 3 years ago, we had launched what we call a builder. So we did it with a few clients as well. What it did was, if you wanted to stake a coin, say a token, say in this case, Klima token, which is on Gnosis, but you had assets on Polygon, we abstracted away the bridging and all those. You would have to sign a couple of times, but you didn't have to do them. But what that meant was you still have to sit there and wait for the bridging to happen. It's like, don't refresh your browser. If those of you old enough who've seen earlier e-commerce interactions would remember where the dialog said, please do not refresh your browser, sit there and wait. So you don't touch it so that not to mess it up. That's the way this worked as well. Now with the chain abstraction, if I have a liquidity on Arbitrum and if I have 200 USDC and if I want to use 50 USDC to buy to app into this token on the base, the mechanism will give me that liquidity automatically within the block time. And effectively, my 200 USDC would be reduced to 150 USDC, but I would not have to wait for the bridging to happen. I'll put it this way, automatically, the liquidity will be there for me. And the fact that I get the liquidity myself as the service provider would be my issue. Imagine I came to India from London and I used Uber. And don't forget, my Uber account is denominated in British pounds. But the driver in India, in Delhi, is going to get paid in rupees. So don't you think that Uber are doing on the fly real time swap of GBP to rupees? No. What they would do is they will probably have some liquidity on the Indian side and they will pay the driver with the rupees from the local liquidity pool and they will settle it in their own time in a batch. This is effectively what is happening, the trend. So as you can see, Octo, Itasport, and a few others, separate companies, but we are zooming in the same sort of solution because the problem is glaring. So for us, we are very excited with this Pillar wallet, which is Pillar X, and Itasport Pulse bringing the solution to that user base, few 100,000 user base that we have.
Very well put. Moving on, UX is often, make or break for any consumer app, as you might agree as well. What do you both think are the most important user experience improvement needed today to actually bring Web3 to regular users?
Yeah, I mean, we sort of covered it, in maybe some parts, but I think ultimately it's come down to taking Web3 away from the user. When we use Web2 applications today, we don't care or we don't even know what the HTTPS protocol is or what the TCP/IP protocol is, right? Nobody knows shit about it. And I think that's what we have to do with Web3. Kill the chain switch, kill the gas token alert, kill signing. Don't ask, what I'm paying with and all of that. Like just completely abstract all of that away. So UX improvements on both sides. So one is how do you onboard users to Web3? Social login, allow them to do simple setup with Web2 based auths, Google, WhatsApp, etc., which they are familiar with. Create a security environment to back it up. Allow embedded wallets through MPC, allow recovery, the entire onboarding seamless. And then the on-chain experience is also very simple, intent-based, one click, and which we spoke about, right? So integrated paymasters, liquidity routing, and just ensure that all the friction points in doing a cross chain, same chain, or even a cross VM transaction, right, is completely abstracted on and can be done instantly. So I would sort of divide the UX in these two parts: solve for onboarding by making wallet onboarding simple, and then solve for experiences across same chain, cross chain, and cross VM.
Yeah, pretty much. I concur with that. Less complexity, less usability, and giving me the options. As a Web3 user, I might still want to use my EOA and keep my mnemonic phrase. I should have the option.
Yeah.
And I could be the same person. I could be using a certain wallet for specific, say, apping into with £10, £20, with some meme tokens. Now, for that, I might just want to use my account, which I can log in with my social login, because I don't want to be doing all those the key-based things. So giving me the option. Then I ask myself, okay, if Web3's usability is the same as Web2, then why do I need Web3? Why can't I just use Web2? If I'm using social login, there's an element of risk, but the option you give me, number one. Number two, at least in my eyes, coming from the personal data locker camp, what if then at some point in the future, the UI and the UX with all these numerous chains has been resolved and it's a non-issue? Then what if then the fact that I own my data and I control my data, I can monetize it? What if there is this cool UI UX where I can auction my data? Imagine my wife is giving birth, and you can see that I go to Amazon and look for baby newborn materials. Now they know from that interaction, oh, this guy is probably having a newborn coming up. What if then now I'm a mark for a certain merchants because they can sell things to me? What if then I had this option to monetize it myself as opposed to those entities selling it on my behalf? I have the decision. Okay, this company, I don't like them because of XYZ. This company, yeah, I can share it with them, but for a certain price.
Okay.
Now, all this can be enabled by Web3, but Web3 to be able to get there has to be usable enough for the average person to join, not just a few of us cool guys doing it. And we think we're cool by just because I've connected my wallet with this, then I've, come on, give me a break.
100% agreed. So, how do you think about maintaining strong security without making the user experience clunky? Like, as we simplify Web3, what are your thoughts on maintaining strong security? Will it hinder the user experience, or is there any alternative?
If I, yeah, you go.
No, please go on.
Yeah, because I touched a little bit on it earlier on. It is on what
So,
I am doing with the risk profile. If I'm transferring $100,000, I don't want to be using social login, because if my account that is associated to the social login, whichever company it is, it could be an email, it could be a social media login. If it gets compromised, my 100K is compromised. So I might just want to use a wallet. But if I'm playing a game, why do I need, and I've got some assets and they're cheap, I might just use social login. So the security depends on what I'm doing in the first place. Then you could have quite a lot of technical implementations, and I'm assuming you guys do quite a bit with MPC. You could have multiple recovery mechanisms where you can nominate people, different machines. You can have all sorts of things, but the flexibility matters, and the application for that specific person matters as well.
Yeah, while I sort of agree on this principally for sure. On the social wallet side, and again, when I think of security is super critical at Octo. And when we think of it, we have to again go back to those two experiences. One is onboarding in wallet, second is transaction. And how do we sort of ensure security in both? And first is, of course, on wallet key management, right? So, what we have basically built at for key management is something called a decentralized wallet network, or DWN, which is definitely one of the most decentralized solution out of there, or more specifically, one of the most distributed solution out there, where for a social login or a social log, the shards are stored with multiple operators, with none of them having complete access to key. And they, of course, have to come together in a defined forum, in a quorum, as we call it, and sign transactions, which sort of make it secure to a good extent, or I would say distributed to a good extent. Now, of course, the compromise that we make in the user experience here is latency. But as we improve on latency, we'll only keep making it more and more decentralized and more distributed, which will make social wallets also very secure for the end user. Second is on the transaction side. Now, on the transaction side, you're talking about two things. One is how do you make, like, for example, the example Michael was giving. If I'm playing a game, I do not want to sign for a very small transaction every time. So can I build something called, so we have built something called policy, right, which basically provide seamless on-chain interactions. A policy is basically a programmable safety, right? So the spending limits, session rules, which can be either time based, amount based, these are something which we store on the Octo chain. And when it is stored on the Octo chain, the DWN, or the decentralized wallet network, whenever it is signing a transaction, it verifies the policies stored on these, stored on the Octo chain, making it a trustless system, right? So you're essentially storing all those policies on chain in a trustless system. Uh, while the end user gets the smooth flows, the underneath sort of safety net is something which is completely uh, abstracted out, but enforces strong rules to ensure security. Right? And I think policy is also important when we start thinking about enabling Octo wallets to be interoperable across multiple gaming apps, right? So if I have a social login on game one, can I also use that on game two? Now I can write different policies for different games and ensure that my digital assets, or my custodian for digital asset, is one single wallet. So I don't have to even handle multiple wallets across multiple applications, right? So these are sort of the few changes through which we think of simplifying and keeping the blockchain interaction simple, but ensuring the security is present both while they create the wallet, they manage the wallet, they sign transactions, and uh, multiple DAVs being used by a single wallet.
Very insightful. So before we wrap up, when you look 2, 3 years down the lane, what big shifts do you expect to see in Web3 because of all these abstraction driven improvements? And how do you think they might reshape the industry? Michael, would you like to go
Okay,
first?
cool. I mean, the new things that, well, they're not that new anymore, but intent, because the last year everyone was talking about intent, but all intent is basically my intention. What is my intention? Because it's my, I'll tell you one thing, my intention is not to bridge a token from chain A to chain B. Really, my intention isn't even to stake coin X into platform Y. My intention is to earn revenue from the APY that staking platform offers me. So if that is my intention, then that's my intent. How can the platforms understand that and leverage these things we've talked about, the account abstraction, the chain abstraction, and leverage them to give me a seamless experience? So then it comes down to AI agents as well. So imagine if I have 1000 USDC on my wallet and I can just communicate with this specific wallet dashboard, invest my 1000 USDC in a diversified portfolio. Now it goes and it talks to these things called solvers and whatever you want to call them, agents. But it gives me, then it brings, and it says this will be medium risk, and it would be, there would be a time element to it. So it brings me a list of these offers that say, okay, these are the things I have found. So it means I haven't even left where my assets are. It's just like me getting a car insurance. The other day, my car insurance was running out, and I get an email from gocompare.com, and I type in, confirm some of the details. They just go and hit 20, 30, 40 insurance companies and give me a list of good insurance that I can select. And the same thing with this intense and AI agents combining together, taking advantage of, because what we've been talking about is infrastructure work, taking advantage of this infrastructure enhancements that we have. I can see the ecosystem changing, because just because I want to go and find about some banking information, I don't need to go to all the banks A, B, C, D. Before the search engines were good enough, I used to do that. Then the search engines became good enough. I don't need to do it. I'll just ask Google. Now there are AI agents. I don't even need to ask Google. I'll just ask the AI agent to do this thing. So I can see the same application in the Web3 space.
No, very exciting, Michael. And I think I hugely resonate. And I think one of the analogies I like to share from internet, is getting to that iPhone moment of Web3, right? Like when iPhone was launched in '07, it sort of led to a hockey stick growth or a J curve growth for the internet. And I think we are very close to that moment in Web3. And it will be all enabled by the abstraction stack which we are building. um, I think will blockchains will stop being the product. Apps will start taking in, the spotlight, and wallets will become essentially coordination infra. Standalone wallets might exist, but they would essentially be for the early adopters or the native users. Um, but the future would be app native wallets. Yeah, and the best wallets will essentially start becoming invisible, already embedded in your on-chain payment app, on-chain remittance app, without you even knowing that the wallet is present. Um, and with the kind of stack which we are building at Octo, Michael is building at EtherSpot, Michael and team are building at EtherSpot. I think devs will also end up shipping Web3 features like APIs. Uh, so on one side, your devs are not devs don't have to worry about blockchain, different Web3 infra. On the one side, on the other side, users don't have to even user don't even know they're on chain. Like they're just taking the utility out of the application which they are using. Um, this sort of coming together can eventually drive that iPhone moment of internet and enable, of course, with very relevant Web3 use cases, hockey stick growth in Web3 as well. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to for the next few years.
Amazing, amazing. All right. And with that, it's a wrap. Huge thanks to both Minal and Michael for joining us and sharing such insightful takes on where Web3 is headed. And thanks to everyone who tuned in and spent your evening with us. Make sure to follow both of our speakers, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.